Okay, so I always start with okay. I'm going to stop doing that. So this is the second part, and what we're going to be working on today is getting this area here. We've got this muddy track here, or muddy path, and to the side we've got all these fallen leaves. There's all sorts of detritus in there. We've got sticks and twigs and little branches and things. It's not going to be that simple to do. The leaves in the background area over here don't have a great deal of definition, but as we come to the front there's more definition in there. Also, the path, being a winter's day, is wet and we can see a little bit of shine from the sun on there as well. So it's not going to be that easy. It's going to take a fair bit of time, but I'm going to show you now how I do it. So let's get started. So one of the things I'm going to do first of all is work on this muddy track, and then we're going to work on the leaves afterwards. Now, one of the ways I'm going to do that, we just need to give it texture. We need to put the darks in. It's been blocked in a middle ground, so we're going to add the darks, and then we're going to go over with the lights. So what I'm going to do to darken, or to put the texture in, is I'm using this Series 3 size 3/8. This is the Tree and Texture series, and I've mixed up a slightly darker grey than we can see here. So it's not probably as dark as some of the darkest points in there, but we're going to just give it that general going over first of all, just to put that texture in. So as per normal, when I use this brush, the paint has no thinner. It's pretty much as it would come straight from the tube, and I'm not putting too much on the brush as well, and that is allowing us with just one brush mark to get lots of little marks. And I'm going to go over this whole path doing this. Now that's obviously not finished, but we've just put those darker tones in. I'm going to do the same now for the area of leaves either side of that path. But I'm going to do that with a slight glaze. I want those to be a little bit less textured, just a little bit less textured, and we don't need to totally cover it. We can see some of this through it, and that's fine. And the glaze will mean that we can still see some of this through. So let's I'm going to use some liquid fine detail for that. So what this is going to do is just put a bit more liquid with it. It's just going to darken slightly the colour that is underneath. Just because those leaves do have a certain, they're not a flat colour. I mean, we'll introduce the darks as well, but even the lighter parts of those leaves have a slight sort of mottled look to them. Now all I've done here is added some ivory black to the liquid. So I'm just going to go over with this to begin with, mainly for the closer leaves. Same brush as well, still the Series 3. We are getting there with this. What we're going to do now is add some of the lighter areas in the furthest part there, and then we're going to work our way forward. But there's going to be the technique's going to be slightly different between the further away leaves and the further away path, and then the path in the foreground here. So let's start working on the background first of all. Going to put that brush to one side, and we're going to move over probably to the coma brush here. It's a Series 5 size 3/8, and we're just going to put in the lighter points now that we can see. So I've moved over now to the fan brush, just because the comber brush that I was using is a little bit too regular, and this is just going to give us a little bit more of an untidy brush mark, which is kind of what we need for this, really. And I'm just also, with this, varying the colour ever so slightly, so it's not all the same tone, the lights that we're putting on here. And actually we've got a lot of light grey in these leaves as well. So now I'm going to change technique a little bit. As we start to move down to the foreground, I'm going to use, rather than the brush I was using, I'm going to move over to a rigger brush. This is the Series 1, size 0. And I'm going to start putting in these darker areas, almost drawing them in now. There's a little bit more separation between the leaves. Rather than doing it en masse, we're going to now almost do it, not quite a leaf at a time, but we're just going to put more of a precise brush mark in. So mixing up the dark colour, just using the tip of the brush, we're just going to start almost drawing the darker areas within. So I've thinned the paint down so that we're getting a nice sharp brush mark, and I'm just basically drawing as if I had a pencil, drawing those darker parts. Some of the areas are slightly darker than others, so they're not all these dark parts or dark areas are the same size, basically. It's important that that consistency is good. So we're now getting the darker shades in there okay. I suspect that we're going to have to put more of those in afterwards, but we're going to now work on the darker shades again in this part of the path here. Now that we've added the darker shades to the leaves, it looks like that to me needs a little bit more work, this blue area here. So all I'm going to do is just mix up another dark blue and just put in some of these darker shades. So I'm going to use the Series 4 again and just start to mess that up a little bit, make it look a little bit less neat. So the paint's as it would be from the tube, there's no thinner added to it. just trying to now draw on the lighter shades that we can see. Very much as we did with the darker shades, same technique, using the same brush, the Series 1 size 0, and just not everywhere, just trying to put it in these lighter shades just here and there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. Another episode is finished. This was going to be a two-parter. I decided to make it a three-parter because I think actually painting the tree and certainly the moss is going to be quite an interesting little lesson. So tune in if you want to see this finished. Thumbs up, subscribe somewhere, wherever that is. At the end, subscribe, and if you haven't and you want to see more, of course. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, everybody, those that want to learn to paint like this in more detail, I have lessons on demand, my website. You can go and check that out. That is, well, you can find it via www.shopmichaeljamessmith.com. That's the only online art school that I have. There are no more. So check that out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.